Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 288 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to start working on alien science. Enjoy. So what next from here? Well, we have a lot of stuff we could research, but the problem that we're in is that we have our lack of cobalt. So we could work on this other stuff, but we kind of don't really want to until we've fixed our resource issues. And one way we can fix it is by doing the military research. We already did some, but if you look at the different research we can do, none of these really use the resources that we're overloaded on. Because we're overloaded on zinc to a small extent, but nickel to a big one. And if you look at the military science, it uses Invar, which uses up that nickel, but it also uses brass here, which uses up the zinc. So we basically want to focus on anything that has military research in it. So we really don't want to go through this other stuff, as useful as it may be, because it just doesn't help us in our current situation. So I guess we'll grab the sniper turret 2s. We could upgrade our existing ones for sure, but it's going to require cobalt to do it. So that's kind of why I'm not really wanting to upgrade them right now. It's not really going to consume resources. But for now, might as well hit it and let the robots do their thing. Because I want to hop over here to science real quick. So we have all of our labs sparking away. And they have slots for the purple research and the pink research. One thing we can do here is the gold research pack. It's not quite the same as the yellow one here. They are different. And it's an interesting one. First of all, it would require a ton of research, especially with military research, which is always nice. And the pack itself is essentially just a combination of our existing research tiers of red, green, blue, and the military. So anything that uses these gold packs is going to be a huge sink of a lot of resources, but specifically military research. And where is it used? Well, it's kind of weird. And we don't really need it right now, but if we wanted to expand later, for example, into Power Armor 3, and all of those things that go into it, which is funny that all of those items we basically already have to have Power Armor 3. It's just the research we wouldn't have. And with Power Armor 2, we can do it as well, with the exception of the low density structures. So it's kind of funny that we are going to be able to do multiple tiers of power armor relatively quickly. But this power armor does require, it's kind of hard to tell, but it does require the yellow research, not the gold research. So we could go to Power Armor Mark II just with our current ones, but if we wanted 3, it would require the gold and also these alien research packs. So it is something we're going to need eventually. Don't really need it right now, I suppose. But since it is a dump of resources, I kind of want to do it. Basically, going down the alien research path is how you would consume all of your biter orbs. So the first step of this is we would want to combine our existing packs into gold. So we do that, and then the next step here requires some prerequisites. First is advanced research. It's an empty node, but it moves us along. And then that would give us the alien lab, which if we had all of these packs on one lab, it would be super complicated. So there is a special lab for this that just requires our existing lab plus some alien artifacts of various colors. So we do that, and now we have access to the alien science pack, and that's not really purple. Purple is a different one, so I guess we'll just call this alien pack. And it just requires a full-sized alien artifact to make 10 of them. So if you're wondering why all those biter orbs are in the game, it's mainly for this. So that will allow us to make the base pack. And then from there, that's interesting how it also is right there as well, but it's the same recipe. But from there, we can make the other colored science packs, all of which would go into various alien things. So they're basically all themed based on different elements. Basically, we would just take the full-size artifact of that relevant color, and then we would get 10 of the science packs out of it. And to research this far, and also to do this tier as well, is going to require those gold ones. So even though we're putting this on the list, no research is actually going to occur. But I'll hit it anyway. And we won't be able to do everything on this list, but we will be able to research a couple of things. But nonetheless, we will let that go for now. And oh wow, that is very quick. So this kind of completes the chain when it comes to alien artifacts. The end result is we want these big artifacts to make things. For the regular artifact, you can make it out of 50 of the smaller ones, or 25 of the smaller ones for the various colored ones. However, you can also make the colored ones by mixing in essentially only one colored one and 5 regulars to get 5 of the coloreds. So you lose a slight amount of resources there, but you can multiply your artifacts that way. But what happens if those resources didn't exist? Well, another thing you can do is make these alien pre-artifacts to basically generate them from nothing, which is nice. So basically, if you're playing on peaceful mode and have no biters at all, you can still do this research. So it's cool that they added that stuff in here. And the artifacts themselves are made from a petri dish and the relevant paste of the resource. And if it's not a regular artifact, then it requires a certain gemstone of the element. Then that paste is just cellulose powder and a powder of whatever resource needs to go into it. And the inoculated petri dish is just alien bacteria, which is stuff we're already making if we needed to do it again. So that's kind of the cycle of life there, where you make a petri dish, you make paste, so you can make a pre-artifact, which then you can grow a regular small artifact out of, which you can turn into the big ones, which then go into the science packs. And it looks like research completed there, because now we need to do the gold packs. And to do that, we need an alien lab. So up until this point, I've been dumping the alien artifacts up here, because we had nowhere else to put them. But now that we're actually going to consume them somewhere, we can send them down here to science. And also probably don't need to be sending them up here either. Although we'll see how it works. We certainly have a lot of small ones there. So let's fly over here and pick up the orbs that we have on hand. We basically set it up to hold on to about 500 of them at a time, and then the rest of them were just being burnt away. We probably could basically reuse this to some extent. So I kind of want to just pick it up as it is. Although the problem is these orbs are going to get picked up. So let's pick those up first, so the robots don't get them. And then pick that up. Inventory's full. So we'll plop over here. We need to put it somewhere. Not sure where this would begin, but we probably are going to need to move a lot of these belts around. So for now, let's move this to the side. Just to make some room. Then we can plop this back in. Maybe just up at the top somewhere. And then we can turn our logistics back on, because now everything's going to go to where they need to. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. No, it's going to burn them all. No. I will get all of you. No, they split up. Some kind of like tower defense or something. You can't let a single one go by. But they're getting by. Okay. Nope, stay away. Let's do storage chests for the individual resources. Although, are they being requested down here? Well, they're not actually getting burned at all. So I wonder where those robots were actually going with these. No, stay away from me. Don't pick up my orbs. Because I kind of want to set these. We'll probably need some advanced logic later, but also we don't really make this many of these, so it's probably not much of an issue, but let's say we need to have at least, I don't know, like 10 of them. And then have them set up to each colored orb. Okay, and those are making the request for the other ones, but I don't know where they went. I had them in my inventory at some point, but now they should place them in here. And they are not. Great. So where are they actually going so I can just intercept them? They're going down and to the left. It's almost certainly going to be these burners of some sort, but oh, I see. Yeah, it's each one of those. So I will just pick up the chest for now, because I don't know how much of these we're actually going to be burning anymore now that we're going to be doing research with them. Since they have a use, we don't really want to burn them. We can burn the small ones, because we'll have so many of them, but the special ones, not so much anymore. But it's also the kind of thing where we can just kind of not worry about it until we get overloaded on them, and then we're forced to create some logic. But it would also be a lot easier if we just had buffer chests and all of that, which we still don't have access to. Oh yeah, they're definitely delivering down here. So, no more. And not that one either. Oh, and up here too, I guess. And now they're taking them where they need to go because those are requester chests, so they had a bias. But we're also going to need some of these as well. Yes, I'll just pick up a few stacks. There is one other thing I would like to do with the ore bus here, because when we're getting deliveries of these ores, it kind of can overload these warehouses because this always comes through. And we had that problem before where I just turned off the alarm, and that's fine, but it kind of does sort of defeat the point of an alarm if it's disabled. So one thing I thought of is that we can just use the buffers to move resources from these warehouses to here, but only in the event when these are essentially getting filled. And that would be like pretty much close to 80,000. And we can do it quite simply, because we don't need to worry about these other resources, because those aren't actually supplied in this way. It's really only, oops, these few resources here. And actually the status of that warehouse doesn't even matter, because there's basically two reasons we would want any of these belts to run. One is that particular warehouse is low. So we can say copper is less than 200. Give it a green square, and we'll connect it with the green wire there. And actually could probably just switch them around like this. And kind of the same thing, except this one is if copper is really high. Let's say 85,000. It gives it a green square, and it will be connected by the ore bus's output. So we'll jump this around. Come over here. So if copper is above 85, which it isn't, but if it was, that would go. And then we can take the output of both of these. Just come along here. And all they will request is a green signal of some sort. And they are getting one because we are technically, well, I guess we're under 85,000. We want to be over. So now there's no green square, which means we can disable that and a couple of resources go in, but other than that, now, as the random ore comes in here and bumps this up, I guess we can watch it since we're pretty close to 85, that when it hits 85, it will start pushing the resources forward just enough so this doesn't fill up and the alarm doesn't go off. So then we see it kind of inching forward like that. And this is really only relevant for the science resources, nothing else. So we're using our buffer here just to keep everything flowing nicely. And we kind of want to do the same thing here. Except set this to iron. Whew, that train was fast. And disable that, so now it's keeping this filled up at 200. But also we need to keep an eye on the bus. And if that becomes a problem, push the resources forward, but shouldn't be necessary, so this will fill up slightly, but only as required just to keep science research from trashing this thing, which should help. How are we doing on our other resources here? Well, doing pretty good. Gold filled up. So now we're just crystallizing away, and there's our cobalt coming in. So we just gotta wait for that to max out, and then hopefully we'll start to see these resources go back down. Okay, so we needed to do some alien research here. And to do that requires the alien lab, which requires spectrum lab, which requires all of these things we don't normally carry. Well, we can make these. Man, that's a lot of junk. So it looks like we need some science components over here, such as these lasers and these light sources. So it looks like we need some solar panels there as well. Not sure exactly how many of these we want to make. We probably don't need that many, since the research requirement is going to be relatively low. But then again, when you look at these next researches, 1,500 of these, so this is going to be a huge, huge drain on resources, which is great because we're overloaded on them. So maybe we should actually make a lot of these. How many do we have here? This seems like way too many. 66. How about we make like 30 of them? So let's do some math here. To make 30 of these, we would need to have 60 of these cores, and each one requires 5 solar panels, so we would need 300 of the large solar panels. But the first tier, they would be like right there, which now lets us start making some. But that's also going to require a bunch of these other parts. Looks like we need 3 times as many of the sulfur light sources and a 1:1 ratio for the arrays. So we'll need to have 90 of these light sources. Oh, they're so big too. Well, that's a problem. Oh well, I think we'll just be running around picking up resources until we're good, but we only needed like 30 of these. Could drop off some of these alien artifacts to make life a little easier, so we have a little bit more space. So we'll do that for now. One thing I noticed here is that this requires the tier 1 of resources, but those tier 1s don't seem to exist on the menu. They could have been a thing with Science Cost Tweaker that got erased or deleted or something, so then we would have been creating them using this method instead. But let's check, because we want to do the labs here. So to make the tier 1 lab means we need these, but it's not a recipe that's in the game, which is not necessarily a problem because we can just do it using this other method with burner labs and whatnot. It's just kind of annoying. I guess I can take a look at that later and see where the broken recipe is. But for now, we just need to do this. And I guess we need to turn logistics on, so robots will deliver our resources. Uh-oh, is power out? That is not good. It's good here. I guess it just got unplugged. I guess so. Okay, now that those are being placed, we can probably start tearing out the old stuff here. And it'll probably tear it out faster than it places. So let's rip all of that out and see what we're left with. Because we want to be with about 250 gigajoules to be back where we started. There they go. Clearing everything out. And it looks like we're getting pretty close to our 250 here. So I guess we would want to double this. So we'll come through here, grab all of this, confuse the robots. And I believe we needed, yeah, 2 rows of these. Might be easier just to do it up here. And there's a hole in the network now, but eventually they'll fill things in and everything will be back to normal again. So it will catch up. And I guess we're gonna have to go back to making labs. And so far, our repository has 4.1K of tungsten in building. Well, I do notice one problem here, that when they put all of the accumulators into one warehouse, it only pulls from that one, but oh well. It will eventually get through them all. I notice when I'm building these, it's still making the tier 1 cores. They're just not on this list. That is weird. But at the same time, I don't want to question it. If it's building, let's let it continue to build. It looks like the copper logic worked, because it's down to 70% again. So it looks like we got a copper request of some kind, and now it's working properly. Fantastic. And all of that cobalt we're making, which isn't much, is still going into making batteries. And there's absolutely going to be a shortage of it soon. But it is what it is. Okay, I think we've got all of these labs made now. At least 30 of them. So we can put the leftovers back in the machines. Now we have to make 30 of the alien labs, which has orange and blue artifacts. So let's turn off logistics for now. Orange and blue. And we can make a few of them. And we need way more alien artifacts for this. But we place the lab down, so it'll take the gold, the regular alien packs, and then all of the different colors. So, seems good. We just need to build them all. See, there is an extra belt in here that we don't need. Right there. Are these working at the correct speed? They just don't seem to be maxed out. Could just be these yellow inserters are not quite enough. No, they're not. It'd probably be easier just to fix them manually here. We've almost got gold filled up to where it needs to be. So that's nice. Then the only thing we'll be short on is basically the cobalt. And I guess a little bit of titanium, but yeah, the rest of these are red, but these are not for some reason. Do we have an upgrade in there? We don't. Alright, well, let's switch from yellow to just blue. I'm sure that would be fine. So there we go. That should be maxing those out. And if we upgraded one, we probably want to upgrade the other as well. Still got some red lights going because we got to wait for those other resources to be cleared out, but we're getting there. A little bit at a time here. Well, we probably don't want this to be the repository of these right now. So I will remove that. I'm not too concerned about getting overloaded. But we're actually out of blue artifacts here. Did I use exactly the amount that we had? That would be kind of frustrating. because we need some to make some. Well, I guess it makes sense if we had exactly 500. So here's a question. Can we reverse engineer the alien lab to get the artifacts back so we can make more? And keep in mind this here, that basically we only need to have one at any given time. Okay, reverse engineer, please. Hey, we get it all back. And they're sending them the wrong direction. Okay, so only have 5 of them. But that is okay, because we can make more. And the labs do need 5, so I guess that makes sense. So we really just didn't have very many of them to begin with. So we're just going to need a bunch of artifacts here. Good thing we were holding on to it. So what I was kind of figuring is that we would need a bunch of them at some point, so I didn't want to use all of them for fuel. Just use enough of them so we weren't overloaded. Kind of curious where those artifacts all went. Well, I suppose we can look for them. So some of it is stuck in the reverse factory, huh? Well, I guess it previously was, but it's not there anymore. And just in some of these assembling machines. But I kind of want to search the logistics network. Oh, they even tell you if it's on, like, belts and loaders and things. That's interesting. Well, for now, I guess we'll just grab out of here. And how many more of the blue artifacts are we going to need? We need to make 24 labs. So I guess we'll just click through here a few times to make what we need. It's probably a lot of alien artifacts to be requesting 500. So I kind of just want to remove it for now so we have access to these artifacts for making what we need here. Because I kind of want to just get rid of this altogether and do the burning up where the artifacts are being processed and save the effort of having to send it all the way down here. So for now, just kind of want to pick most of this up. And we'll deal with the rest of it later. We ended up using quite a bit of this because we're down to 80k right now and still using it up. Well, one thing I can do is just switch this over to a supply warehouse here. So they'll all be migrated to our other location without actually having to pick them all up. There we go, small alien artifact, and we still need to make a few more. Okay. Finally made them all. And I kind of want to switch these over to requester chests, since this is where we basically want all of them to go. And those are set to requester chests for the small ones, making the alien artifacts. But we also need to make them using other methods, so we got to work that in here. But that's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.